The Adams Archive. Chronicles of a Revolutionary Mind in the 21st Century, Volume 1, Reflections on Society and Democracy. Caption by Ava Rodriguez. In these posts, John talks about the corrupting influence of money in politics, the threat to democracy it poses, and advocates for direct action and meaningful change. Title: The Impact of Money on Politics. Date: February 19, 2043. Author: John Adams. Money and politics have always been intertwined, but in recent years, the influence of corporate money in the political system has grown to unprecedented levels. Corporations pour billions of dollars into lobbying efforts and PR campaigns, effectively buying the political influence they need to protect their interests and influence legislation. The result is a system that is fundamentally broken, one that caters to the interests of the wealthy and powerful, rather than the needs of the people. The voices of the average citizen are drowned out by the deep pockets of corporations and special interest groups, and the political system becomes a tool for the rich to get richer, rather than a force for the greater good. As long as the influence of money remains unchecked, nothing meaningful will ever be accomplished in the political arena. We need a system that is transparent, fair, and accountable, one that puts the needs of the people first, not the interests of the elite. To achieve this, we must fight to get money out of politics. We must demand that our elected officials prioritize the needs of their constituents, not the demands of their wealthy donors. We must call for legislation that limits the amount of money corporations and special interest groups can spend on lobbying and campaigns, and we must push for transparency in political donations, so that voters can see exactly who is funding their representatives. But we cannot stop there. We must also address the root causes of money's influence in politics, which is the concentration of wealth in the hands of a few. As long as wealth inequality persists, the wealthy will continue to use their resources to control the political system. We must work to create a more equitable society, one where the gap between the rich and poor is not so vast, and where everyone has a fair shot at success. It won't be easy, and the road ahead will be long and difficult. But we must continue to fight for a political system that works for everyone, not just the privileged few. We must demand accountability and transparency, and we must work together to create a more just and equitable society. Until justice prevails, John Adams. Title: Taking Action to Get Money Out of Politics. Date: February 19, 2043. Author: John Adams. It's not enough to simply complain about the influence of money in politics. If we want to see real change, we need to take direct action. The first step is to set clear and concise demands that are published and known to all. In this way, the corporate media will have a much harder time painting the movement as a rudderless bunch of hippies, as they have done in the past. I remember a protest from when I was a young boy, in which a group of people occupied the financial district to protest the government's bailout of corporations' finance groups who had made bad investments and were going to fail. They threatened to upend the global markets if the government didn't bail out their failing companies using taxpayer money. They of course got the bailout at the expense of the people. The media would go to the financial district and find the most incoherent and disheveled person they could, often a homeless person, to paint their narrative and discredit the group. We cannot let the media control the narrative. We must have a clear and unified message and present it in a way that cannot be twisted or misrepresented. We must also hold our elected officials accountable and demand that they listen to the voices of the people, not just the voices of the corporations. Direct action may take many forms, including protests, boycotts, and strikes. We must be willing to put our bodies on the line and take a stand against the corrupting influence of money in our political system. It's time for us to demand a government that represents the people, not just the wealthy elite. Until justice prevails, John Adams. For more of the John Adams Archive, join us at #Flipside Fables on YouTube, TikTok, or Twitter.